The series began on Friday night, and Brandon Phillips highlighting a 4-run fifth inning with a bases loaded double in a Reds 5-3 win. On to Saturday afternoon, it was a 4-run opening inning against A.J. Burnett, setting the tone for the Reds to close it out late. And what an unbelievable performance it was by Aroldis Chapman, striking out the final two batters with a runner at third in a 5-4 Cincinnati win. So here we come to sold-out Great American Ballpark on this Sunday afternoon, on a hot summer Sunday afternoon, and we welcome you the series finale. The Pirates taking on the Reds, and a fruitful beginning post-All-Star break for Cincinnati. Picking up 2 games, obviously, on Pittsburgh, and a game last night against St. Louis as they fell to the San Diego Padres. And hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh. I'm Tom Brenneman. Hope you're having a great Sunday, and welcome to Reds baseball. And, well, Chris, as the Reds seem to go when they've played their best baseball of the year, generally that means Shin-Soo Choo has been setting the table and right in the thick of everything, and he's on quite a roll right now.
All right, it started out that way, Tom. He got very hot early in the year, got a little bit off his game, and then lately, though, he has really got it going on. You see the 14-game hitting streak. That's a career high for him, and he's hitting the ball the other way and up the middle a lot more, trying to go back to the basics for Choo, a guy that you need on base because he kickstarts this offense.
Well, if he does the same for the Cincinnati Reds, we know that is a story for Andrew McCutchen with these Pittsburgh Pirates. An all-star the last couple of years, as he was again this year, and right now he is swinging the bat better than he has maybe in 2 years.
Well, you're right about that. Coming off a 4-hit game, he's had 3 of those so far this year, McCutchen has, and he really is the catalyst of this lineup. He's a lot like Brandon Phillips and Joey Votto combined. He makes it go, whether he's in the leadoff spot, in the number 3 spot. He's a tremendously gifted athlete, can run, and I'll tell you what, the Pirates really depend on Andrew McCutchen to lead him. They wonder what he will do today after collecting 4 hits yesterday.
Today, an outstanding pitching matchup. The Pirates will send out the left-hander Jeff Locke, who's off to a great start this year, a National League All-Star. And Homer Bailey will start it for the Reds. We'll talk more about those two when we return.
The Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Another very warm afternoon here in downtown Cincinnati, and our weather report brought to you by Tri-State Orthopedics. From the WKRC Weather Department, 82 degrees, humidity. It's up there a little bit from the last couple of days. Not much wind. And a forecast, mostly sunny skies, and that's very good news. Reds will be hitting the road for a long time, 11 days. Heading out west to cooler temps, San Francisco, LA, and San Diego. But today, let's talk about this left-hander Jeff Locke, who will get the ball. He was an all-star this year.
Yeah, really, he came on the scene after really breaking into the major leagues between 2011 and 2012. Very mediocre, but he had a huge breakout first half. He's been able to really get the job done for the Pirates, especially on the road. And anytime you have a young pitcher, you wonder how he does away from the ballpark, and this is what you see. But he's among there some big boys right there with Clayton Kershaw, Jeff Locke, a .215 earned run average. He's 8-2. Patrick Corbin with a great year. He's 11-1. And of course, Matt Harvey. Everybody knows about the hard-throwing Harvey from New York. Those are the four of the best young pitchers in the game right there.
Let's talk about Homer Bailey for a minute. He has made a living, real good living, the times he's been out there against the Pirates.
Well, you're right. I mean, the Reds love it when he pitches against the Pirates because the ball club is 10-3 in those 13 starts. He personally has won 8 of those. So Homer Bailey's a guy that, has tremendous success against the Pirates. That'll boost his confidence because that's something very important to Homer. After his no-hitter, he's been beaten around a little bit. His stuff is that of an ace pitcher, but his consistency is that of a 3 or 4 starter right now. They're waiting for Homer to become an every 5th day guy who dominates the way his stuff says he should.
We'll see if that plays out here today. This is a big one. The difference between picking up 3 games on these Pirates or only 1 game on these Pirates. Series finale. Reds trying for the sweep when we return on Fox Sports Ohio. Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by the Ford F-Series trucks, a best-selling truck in America, 36 straight years. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time. Light sunny Sunday afternoon in downtown Cincinnati. We welcome you to Great American Ballpark. Glenn Hurdle's Pirates, 56 wins, 39 losses, 2 better than the Reds in the Central. Starting lineup as Marte. Travis Snider, his first start of the series out in right. 3 All-Stars in their lineup, including McCutchen and Alvarez. Jeff Locke is on the mound, and starting it for the Reds is right-hander Homer Bailey.
Well, I think if you mapped out this whole series ahead of time, you would have it exactly the way it lays out for the Reds today. Homer Bailey on the mound against the Pirates, who he has dominated in his career. Start number 20 for the hard-throwing right-hander.
First pitch swinging Marte, and this should be a first pitch out as this one is underway at Great American Ballpark, landing softly in the middle. Brandon Phillips. Take a look at the Reds defensively, and presented by your Ford dealers. Todd Frazier back in the lineup at third base. Jack Hanahan got the start there last night, and Corky Miller catches for the first time in this series. Right fielder Travis Snider, a .232 batter, 3 home runs, 23 batted in. Jose Tabata started in right field the last couple of weeks, including the first 2 games of this series. Snider had a run-scoring double, bringing the Pirates within a run off their bench in the 8th inning here last night. And that was after coming off the bench to get a single on Friday night. Two and 1 to Snider. You may remember he came over at the trade deadline from Toronto a year ago. And much has been made about what the Pirates might be thinking leading up to the trade deadline this year. I mean, they are right in the middle of the rumor mill. Everybody from Justin Morneau to Alexi Ramirez to Alex Rios of the White Sox
to Cliff Lee. I mean, they're running the full gamut, from pitchers to fielders to just guys who can hit off the bench. And you got to figure that the Pirates, who have not been in this position very often in the last 20 years or so, are under tremendous pressure by their fan base to do something that will put them over the top. They certainly don't want a repeat of last year and many other years, and where they've really gone through the drain in the second half. But it's a funny thing to do. I mean, if you're a general manager, you've got to balance out, you know, what you have to give up, what you will have to pay to a player who comes in making more money versus what you have right now, and will it put you over the top?
Breaking ball, and that is strike 3 called, and Bailey has retired the first 2 of the game.
Homer really trying to stay away from the fastball against Travis Snider. Very good fastball hitter. He finally feathers in a little curveball, little backdoor curve right there. Nice break on it. Good frame job by Corky Miller, who's catching Bailey today. And so far, Bailey's shown me 2 things. Number one, he's got a good feel of his split finger fastball, very important against left-handers, and that curveball is a nice complementary pitch too.
Well, now McCutchen, who's given Bailey problems and has given everybody problems right now, batting over 400 here in the month of July. And Chris mentioned a moment ago he's coming off a 4-hit game here yesterday. A pair of singles, a double, and a home run. McCutchen is homered in each of the first 2 games in this series.
Yeah, there aren't too many hitters in this lineup that have given Bailey trouble, but McCutchen certainly one of them.
But not this time. Phillips right there, and Bailey, a 1-2-3 opening inning. Reds will try and set the tone early, as they've done in this series already against Jeff Locke, when we return. For the 500 mark, his starting lineup today, once again, as Shin-Soo Choo leading off in center field, followed by Chris Heisey and Joey Votto. Brandon Phillips in a cleanup spot. Jay Bruce very quiet in this series out in right, with Todd Frazier back at third, and the latter third of Zach Kozart, Corky Miller, and Homer Bailey. Jeff Locke, boy, the numbers are impressive. 109 innings. Has allowed only 76 base hits.
Yeah, he's not the strikeout artist that you would find with Homer Bailey, but what he does is he gets a lot of ground balls. He uses the very good infield defense that the Pirates have out there, and he pitches ahead in the count. So his main game is to get you to hit his pitch rather than miss his pitch, and that's one reason why he's running up the record that he is. 8-2 on the year, now making start number 29 in his major league career.
Slow start to this season for this young left-hander. You see the numbers there after his first 3 outings, but ever since then he has been lights out. Choo brings with him a 14-game hitting streak, and it's going to go to 15.
Well, Choo, as we mentioned earlier in the open, has just been on some kind of a tremendous hot streak. This runs it to 15, and really what he wants to do against a left-hander like Locke is hit it early in the count before Locke gets into a position in the count where he can start throwing that curveball, which is the pitch that gives Choo the most problems from lefties. So he takes a fastball right through the box, and he gets a base hit.
Trying to bring Chris Heisey to the plate. You and I were talking before the game. This guy has looked really good since coming back off the disabled list, and boy, the numbers would back it up. 12 hits and 34 at bats since his return from a DL, including 5 doubles and 3 home runs. The Reds have scored in the first inning in each of the first 2 games of this series. They got the Heisey home run on Friday night against Liriano. They scored 4 times against A.J. Burnett in the opening frame yesterday.
Yeah, you really wonder what would have been for Chris Heisey had he not missed those 2 weeks with a pulled hamstring that landed him on the DL.
Choo taking off, and he's out.
Very close at second base. Well, the stats on Jeff Locke this year tell you that it's just not a good idea to try a stolen base. He has given up only 3 stolen bases. He's picked off 3, and this is the 3rd time of the season that he has had a runner what they would call pitcher caught stealing. So he's allowed 3, and he's gunned down 10, in other words, and that's a pretty good ratio for a left-handed pitcher.
It's not been a very good base running series for the Reds, even though they've won the first 2 games. Friday night was quite ugly. Devin Mesoraco a couple of times trying to go second to third on a ground ball, got doubled off on a fly ball into left center field at first base. They had a runner thrown out of the plate. Well, you know, the runner trying to throw Choo trying to steal yesterday in the second inning.
You know, you kind of admire the aggressive attitude, though. You don't want to take that away and just play station to station. And if he had picked the right pitch to go on, he probably would have been able to walk into second base without even having to slide. Unfortunately, he just picked the wrong pitch. Locke came over and got him.
Call for Heisey. Strike 3 on the inside corner. 2 are out. Let's take a look at the Pirates defensively. Pretty much the same group we've seen this entire series, with the exception in right field. Snyder his first start, and McHenry starts for their regular Russell Martin. Russell Martin seemingly never misses a game. He has logged a pile of innings behind the plate.
And that may have been one reason why Choo decided to go ahead and try to stolen base right there, because McHenry nowhere near what Martin is as far as a catch and throw catcher.
Joey Votto, the batter, 15 home runs, 44 runs batted in. He looks at a ball a little bit low and in. Votto got an RBI, drawing a bases loaded walk in the 6th inning. The final batter that A.J. Burnett faced. After today, these two teams will have played a total of 12 times. They still have 2 more series against one another, but they will not convene again until the month of September. And my, oh my, you wonder where will both of these teams be then. Reno on Votto. And it's a 4-pitch walk. So young Mr. Locke has faced 3 batters here to begin his first inning and has only retired 1 of them. We've got the caught stealing on Chu, and that certainly is a big second out, as Phillips will bat with a runner at first and 2 away.
You know, Locke is one of those left-handed pitchers who really defies the odds. There you see the number of walks per 9 inning. That's one of the problems that he's had. Typical young left-hander with some control problems. But what I mean by defying the numbers is that he actually pitches better from a batting average standpoint against right-handers than he does left-handers. That shows me he's got a very good changeup.
Votto, short lead held on by Garrett Jones over at first base, and Brandon looks at a pitch down the middle of strike.
This is what I was talking about right here. This batting average against, normally it's exactly the opposite. Lefties against lefties. Normally those left-handed hitters are the ones that struggle, but not so against Jeff Locke, although those numbers show me that both lefties and righties struggle against Locke.
Brandon Phillips has knocked in more runs than any player in the National League. 78 RBIs, 1 more than Arizona's Paul Goldschmidt. And a roller to the shortstop, Barmes. A force out will end the inning. A hit, a man left. We've played 1, and we are scoreless. Family today. For $85, you can join as a family. You get 4 game tickets, unlimited Hall of Fame admission, statues of Lombardi, Nuxall, Kluszewski, and Frank Robinson, 2 ballpark tour passes, batting cage passes, and so much more. For more information on the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum's All-Star membership, visit redsmuseum.org. Off we go to the second inning of a scoreless game, and it's the 3rd and final game of this series and this very brief 3-game homestand for the Reds. Strike 1 to Pedro Alvarez. They're on their way to San Francisco after the game today. They'll play 4 games in 3 days, including a doubleheader on Tuesday. 4 games in Los Angeles Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then 3 in San Diego next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And when they get back home, Chris Welsh, it's a day off, and guess who's coming in that first weekend back? The Cardinals.
Yeah, that'll make it an exciting weekend. There's no doubt about that.
Reds have their 11th sellout of the season here today. The all-time record here at Great American Ballpark is 15 in 1 year. So great to have so many folks coming out and watching the Redlegs. These first 2 games have been very exciting, especially here in the 9th inning yesterday. My, oh my, if you did not see Aroldis Chapman, it was absolutely spectacular what he did in the 9th inning with a runner at third and nobody out. Tying run at third and nobody out. Got a pop-up, a couple of strikeouts to end the game. The last 3 batters, every fastball he threw was in excess of 100 miles per hour. On the ground right at Phillips, down on one knee to make sure. 1 out.
Now sometimes the ball club will call on a closer to do more than just get 3 outs. And yesterday, Aroldis Chapman, because of the defense behind him, was called on to really get 5 outs. And he did so in dramatic fashion. Struck out the last 2. He went right up the ladder against Michael McHenry and got a good slider down there to end the ball game. And man, oh man, that was one of those hang on for a win, but hang on to the coattails of Aroldis Chapman.
Lawrence was fired up yesterday. He generally does not show a lot of emotion, but you saw that pounding of the glove after he got that final out. This one is launched into right field by Garrett Jones. Boy, and these Pirates have come in and just clubbed the ball all over the yard. As far as the home run ball is concerned, fortunately for the Reds, every one of them have been a solo home run.
Well, they play in a ballpark that really doesn't give up the home run very easily, but they take advantage here of some short porches, although that ball was hit well enough to get out of just about any ballpark in America. It looked like a breaking ball, maybe a splitter. That's a curveball coming up right there, and it just kind of hangs right in the zone. When you throw a curveball a couple of inches above the waist, you're lucky if you ever get it back, except to sign it.
Well, whatever the scouting report is the Reds have had on Garrett Jones going into this series, they might want to throw it away. That one's shot into right field by McHenry. And after the home run ball, that is a base hit. Garrett Jones came in batting in the 250s in this series. He had a double, a single, and a walk in the first game. Yesterday, hit a home run and drew a walk. And now a home run is first at bat here today. And this is a guy that's been under a lot of heat in Pittsburgh about his lack of production so far this year, coming off a very good season last year where he hit 27 home runs and knocked in nearly 90 runs. Oh, and 1 on Jordy Mercer.
Well, Homer Bailey has faced 2 hitters in this league more than anybody else. One of them is Garrett Jones. The other is Andrew McCutchen. That's a second career home run that Jones has got him for. But both of those guys are 300-plus hitters against Homer. And really, they're the only guys in this Pirate lineup that have done consistent damage against Bailey.
1 on, 1 in, 1 out. And a roller foul to get ahead of Jordy Mercer at 0-2. Mercer, 26 years old, getting regular playing time right now at second base with the injury to Neil Walker we brought up earlier. The last time we saw the Pirates a pair of series in the month of June, he had supplanted Barmes as a starting shortstop, and primarily because he's hitting 50 points higher than Clint Barmes. Still 0-2 on Mercer. Dan Mercer has put up some very impressive offensive seasons in the minor leagues. You wonder how to play out here at the big league level. This is his first time to get regular playing time with a major league club, but he's had RBI years of 83, 65, seasons where he racked up 36 and 31 doubles. Originally drafted by the Dodgers back in 2005 and elected not to sign, and then went in the 3rd round by the Pirates in 2008. In a short amount of time we've seen Mercer, we have seen him do a lot of this. Now he's still behind 0-2 in the count, but he does have a propensity to foul a lot of pitches out of play.
He does, and you got to call those at bats no matter what happens to you. You know, gamer type of at bats. I don't go as far as saying they're great at bats, but they're really good at bats. They make the guy work a little bit, and they show everybody what his pitches are, and they put some pressure on the opposing pitcher, in this case Bailey, to make a good one. He's still 0-2.
And now 1-2.
I mean, to lay off a pitch like that, that's a key thing to an extending in at bat. To recognize early on, as soon as that ball leaves the pitcher's hands, right out of his fingertips, that that's a breaking ball. And if it starts at the outside corner and you recognize it as a breaking ball, it's going to break out of the zone.
He's pitching this at bat, and that's all for Mercer. Second strikeout for Bailey, and 2 away here in the second inning.
Looks like he just threw a little sinking fastball down and in that time. You see the grouping of all the pitches that Homer Bailey threw at that at bat against Jordy Mercer, and they're all down at the very lower end of the strike zone. That's where, you know, you like to live when you're pitching in this ballpark. And that's one thing that Homer Bailey's done extremely well this year, is keep the ball in the ballpark. He's allowed only 9 home runs in 122 innings. His ground ball rate has never been better. And because of that, he'll use the defense that's out there behind him.
A run home, a runner at first base. There are 2 out for the number 8 hitter. Shortstop Clint Barmes checks in at 219. That one blocked by Corky Miller. Ball 1. Barmes only a pair of home runs and just 10 runs batted in. Reds are open, and Ryan Hannigan will be set to come off the disabled list next weekend when the Reds tee him up in Los Angeles. And one would assume that means this week he'll be headed out on some kind of rehab. Been on the disabled list already twice this year as Hannigan.
Now another one of those games for Homer Bailey where it looks like he's playing catch, but playing catch at 95 miles an hour. And in those games where he's had some problems, and Homer, you know, has had some great games, obviously the no-hitter, he's had some other gems out there, but he's also had some clunkers. It seems to me that he gets hurt on those clunkers in days where he tries to fool them, and he gets hurt on his breaking ball and his secondary pitches. Now when you're throwing 95 and you're down here at the bottom of the order, it might be a good time to just go ahead and challenge him and say, see what you can do with a 95 or 95 mile an hour fastball or 96 mile an hour fastball.
Two and 2 to Barmes. Struck him out on a high fastball at 95. 3 strikeouts in the game for Bailey, but the Pirates for the first time in this series get on the board first after the home run from Garrett Jones. Of the last 2 Reds wins. That's not necessarily pretty, but definitely fun to watch. Hal McCoy writes about how Manny Parra's gotten it turned around. And you can chat with the Hall of Famer, Hal McCoy, on Game Connect, clicking on Game Talk. All brought to you by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. Drive safe, spend less. It is a hot one here today. A lot of folks trying to fan themselves off, stay cool here on this Sunday afternoon. Temperatures are right in the mid-80s, but humidity a little bit high. Not terrible, but it's hot. But it's summertime. And look at those folks cruising along the mighty Ohio. You said that yacht of yours is going to pick you up to get you out to the Bay Area later on this afternoon. That'll be quite a ride.
Well, we're going downriver, so that ought to help us. Time's that game starts tomorrow night?
That would be a little after 10 o'clock our time, so a little after 7 o'clock.
Oh, so I got 3 extra hours.
That's right.
Well, I'd just call ahead and have all the locks opened up.
Make sure everything's ready to roll. 0-1 to Jay Bruce. And he's behind 0-2. It has been a rough series for Bruce. 0 for 4 in the opener. 0 for 4 yesterday with 3 strikeouts against A.J. Burnett and company.
And a lot of those came on curveballs.
Reds down 1-0 as Bruce leads off this second inning. And he fouled that one straight back. They put on the big shift against Jay Bruce.
You know, it's kind of interesting.
Is Alvarez on the left side.
Yeah, and they figure that if he's going to put the ball on the ground, it's going to be probably off a breaking ball, and he's going to be over the top of it and pull it. Jeff Locke is a little bit, reminds you delivery-wise of Ted Lilly, but his stuff reminds you of Travis Wood. Very quick arm. He makes a 90-mile-an-hour fastball seem like a 94 or 95-mile-an-hour fastball by how quick his arm is, how deceptive he is, and how the ball gets on a hitter.
This guy's no fluke, a National League All-Star this year, Jeff Locke. Pirates had 5 of them. Bruce gone swinging. 1 out.
Now he just comes right in there with a fastball. You see the tail on it, and Bruce just swings over the top of it. Really, the difference for Jeff Locke is his ability to have found the way to move the fastball around the strike zone, and that's what you wait for with a young kid, especially a young left-hander with a good arm.
So now Todd Frazier, given a day off yesterday against A.J. Burnett, hitting at .239, 10 home runs and 43 runs batted in. Cardinals will be playing in a little less than an hour from now. Broken bat liner, the second baseman, 2 out. That'll be the rubber game of that 3-game series at Busch Stadium between San Diego and the Cardinals. San Diego winning yesterday.
I believe it was Edinson Volquez that ended up picking up the win in that ball game.
Yep.
So nothing better than getting a good trade, trading away a guy, and then having him come back and actually help you by beating a team ahead of you in the standings.
Of course, the only way to put a cherry on top of that Sunday would be for Edinson Volquez to then face the Reds 2 more times, as the Reds have still not played the Padres this year, and to hang him with a couple of losses.
He might be compliant to that. If you're patient at the plate, there's a good chance, though, that the Reds will face him. I haven't looked that far ahead in the possible pitching matchups, but Volquez, 5 innings, a 3-run baseball, picked up his 7th win against 8 losses.
Well, we don't know, the San Diego Padres schedule necessarily day to day, but if you just, run through very quickly, pitched on a Saturday, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, say he pitches Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, he would be slated to pitch that Tuesday game, the second game of that 3-game series, but off days will play a factor in that. 0-2 on Zach Cozart, who had a very good day at the plate. Not as good in the field. Cozart committed a couple of errors in the game yesterday. One of them allowed a run to score in the second inning. The other one allowed McCutchen to go second to third and getting there with nobody out before Chapman pitched out of that jam. But at the plate, Zach looked very good yesterday. A sac fly RBI, had a double to left field, had a single and scored a run in 4 at-bats. High pop fly into shallow left center field. This will be Marte. He just picked it up, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Locke. We move to the third. Pirates lead on the Garrett Jones home run, 1-0. Serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio. Who remembers that first series after the All-Star break last year? Friday night, Frazier the big home run and a win over the Cardinals. Ludwig a game ender in the 10th inning in a 3-2 win, and then Scotty Rowe in a 2-run double in the 8th inning in the Reds' 4-2 victory. Reds were 1 game behind the Pirates at the All-Star break. They began the second half going 19-3, including 10 games in a row they won. And by August the 4th, they were 5.5 games in front. Well, they're 2-0 post All-Star break in this series. They trail 1-0 here in the series finale today. Jeff Locke the batter, and he's behind 1-2. Reds and Fox Sports Ohio would love to send out a happy birthday wish to John Zeller from Midway, Ohio, celebrating his 90th birthday today. John, hope you're having a great day, and a very, very happy birthday from all of us to you. That is a foul ball. Over the mound, charging is Phillips. No throw. Well, you can't just roll it out there any better than that over the head of Bailey. Nothing he could do, nothing Phillips nor Cozart could do.
He just hits it down. Looks like it comes either right off the plate or in front of the plate. Homer's thinking about leaping for it, but there's no way he's going to get it. That was at the height of its highest point and bounce.
That one getting away from Corky Miller, and that'll be a wild pitch. Charge to Homer Bailey, allowing Locke to advance on to second base with nobody out in the inning.
That really changed the requirement of the at-bat there for Starling Marte now. A team out right here would advance that runner to third base. Homer Bailey's probably going to try to pitch him in, and the Reds have tried to crowd Marte with a fastball. He's a young man that has a lot of hits. He leads the Pirates in hits, but he likes to get those arms extended. You want to get that ball right in here and keep him from hitting that ball to the right side.
Question is now, though, do they ask Marte to bunt? No sign of it there at 1-1 That is the pitcher you have running out there at second base. Marte has 3 sacrifices so far this year. Reds not so sure. They have Votto right on the edge of the grass at first. Frazier a step or 2 in on the grass down at third. Marte tries to bunt and fouls it back. Bailey has already fanned 3 in the game. Ahead to Marte, 1-2. And make it 4 strikeouts for Homer Bailey. 1 out.
Big time strikeout for Homer. Bailey reaching back and finding a little extra on his fastball. And that's something that Homer's been able to do when he's had plenty of rest. Take a look at what his record is on a normal 5-man rotation. You get 4 days of rest, and Homer is 0-6 with a higher earned run average. A little bit more rest, 7 starts. Record even gets better, but you give him 6 days or more, and Homer Bailey nearly unbeatable with an earned run average of 1.2. And you know, it's one of those things where a fastball pitcher and a power pitcher like Bailey, if he gets his full complement plus a day or 2 of rest, it makes him an awfully tough guy to beat.
Of course, this is a full 7 days of rest for Homer Bailey due to the All-Star break. He has not started a game since that game in Atlanta.
You know, it's funny, a lot of pitchers would rather have less than more. You know, guys like Mike Leake, Bronson Arroyo, you know, you want to get into that rotation where, you know, 4 games or 4 days of rest is about enough. Oftentimes you'll have a team where they'll skip the number 5 starter in order to keep the rest of the rotation on a 4-man rotation when you have an off day in the middle of the week, for instance.
Well, the Reds won't have one of those for quite a while. And of course they have to play back-to-back 4-game series over 7 days. They have still not made an announcement as to who will start one of the 2 games in the doubleheader on Tuesday. Tony Cingrani will start one of them.
Well, I saw Greg Reynolds, young man that was an all-star down in the minor leagues for the Louisville Bats today. I asked him, when are you pitching? And he told me the 2nd game in San Francisco.
There you go.
So I don't know whether it's official, but they certainly told him, and I hope I didn't let the cat out of the bag. I think that it's obvious he's walking around the clubhouse getting dressed. They call him up here for a reason. So it looks like it'll be the 6'7" right-hander, the sinker baller from Louisville, coming up and making that start in the 2nd of that twin bill.
Pull to the right side, advancing on to third is Locke, but that is the 2nd out of the inning. So 1 big out to go here for Homer Bailey. And it's been against a guy who, as we brought up earlier, has had very good success against him, and that would be Andrew McCutchen.
Well, if you look back at the last 2 batters, it looks like Homer Bailey's got a little extra resolve going. He went fastball to strike out Starling Marte. That last pitch, and he got behind Snyder on a 3-1 count. He threw it 97 miles an hour. So you wonder now if that same fastball, though, will work against Andrew McCutchen. But there just aren't all that many starting pitchers out there that can dial it up at 97. And that's where Homer Bailey, stuff-wise, separates him from about 95% of every other pitcher out there.
It's interesting, yesterday Latos really came after McCutchen with fastballs with 2 on and 2 out in the 2nd inning and beat him on fastballs. Wound up striking him out in that inning. Latos tried to throw a fastball by him the next time up, and McCutchen hit it in the seats. beyond the 379 mark in deep left center field.
Perfect slider right there by Homer.
Came back 96 up, and it's quickly 0-2.
Two perfect pitches right there, both of them exactly where he wanted them. Slider on the outside corner, going up the ladder right there with a fastball, and Homer certainly in the driver's seat here.
0-2 on Andrew McCutchen. Try to get him to chase a fastball at 96, and he does not do it.
Now what that does, though, is that you've thrown two fastballs up. You've got him used to 96. Now you go down somewhere, a little off-speed pitch, and hope McCutchen can't make the adjustment.
Which he does, and it's so far out of the zone it never appeared to be a strike. Got him swinging at it in the inning. A leadoff single and a man left on base. Reds trail 1-0. .com. Choose one of 32 home run derby competitors, including every one of them from the 2013 Derby. Download MLB.com's home run derby game for free today. Take a look at our AT&T trivia question today. Who is the only player to have his number retired by the Reds and also play for the Pirates? Many of you who have been around a while will know the answer to that one. One of the great names and great figures, and more importantly, one of the great human beings to ever put on a Reds uniform. What a guy. Reds are down 1-0. They come to bat here in the last of the third. It'll be 8-9-1 in the batting order. Corky Miller, Homer Bailey, then back to Shin-Soo Choo. Reds have one hit. Locke has walked one batter. He's retired the last four since that walk to Joey Votto. Corpy swinging and pops it up and out of play. They're underway in Washington, D.C. And the resurgent Dodgers are looking for the 3-game sweep. The Dodgers have come from 12 games under 500 to 2 games over 500. And they are only a half game behind the slumping Arizona Diamondbacks in the National League West, and the Reds will get a up close and personal look at those Dodgers this coming Thursday. Well, we were talking for a while yesterday, and the way things are going in that National League West is there's a ground ball to short, and Barmes will throw out Miller to begin the third inning. Well, Chris, I don't think it'd be a surprise to anybody if 84 or 85 games max won that division, the way those teams seem to sort of go through hot streaks and very extended long cold streaks. The Dodgers are 18-5 over their last 23 games, but realistically, how long can you play that well?
Well, you're right about that, but you know, they're also a ball club that may just go out and get some reinforcements. Money is no object with the Dodgers. It's giving up prospects that might be, as far as acquiring talent right before the trade deadline. You know, in that division, though, unlike what you have in the Central Division, you have the haves and have-nots in the Central. You know, the Cardinals, Pirates, and Reds, meaning they're winning all the games and against mostly the Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers. You don't have that situation at the West. There's not too many teams out there that you can really, I mean, can't count all of them out right now. I mean, even the Padres, the worst of the bunch there, are only 7.5 games back.
I mean, you got the Giants. They beat Arizona these first 2 games after the break. They are 6 games under 500. And they are only 4.5 games out of first place. 2-1 the count on Homer Bailey. That should have been ball 3. Instead, it's strike 2. Two delivery on Bailey, and that'll be strike 3, and there are 2 outs. 3 strikeouts in the game for Jeff Locke.
Well, Locke is looking a little bit today like his nickname that he earned when he was a young man in Conway, New Hampshire. Growing up, they called him the Redstone Rocket, which is a neighborhood of Conroy, New Hampshire. Got that because they liked his fastball. And of course, a nearby town from Derry, New Hampshire, is where America's first man in space, Alan Shepard, came from. And he was propelled into space on Freedom 7 by a Redstone rocket.
Well, you're breaking out all the artillery.
Or at least the missiles.
Well,
the space missiles.
Why not? Chu had a liner off the body of Locke to extend his hitting streak to 15 games in a row, his first time up, and it was caught trying to steal after he was fooled on the move by Locke, who threw to first, and then they fired down to short to get him. Chu better than a .425 batter during this 15-game hit streak.
Well, he really struggled in the month of June against left-handers, but he's turned that around quite a bit here in the month of July. Now, that on-base percentage of Chu, though, has been right with him just about all year long. Point of view, Jeff Locke, and you see this happen all the time, and this is where it just drives pitching coaches crazy. It drives managers crazy. You got 8, 9, and 1. You go out there and you retire number 8 hitter, the number 9 hitter, the pitcher, you strike out, and now you're 1 batter away from having a nice, easy, a second consecutive 1, 2, 3 inning, and you walk a guy on 4 pitches.
And now you're facing a guy who's more than capable, especially the way he's swinging the bat right now, of giving the Reds a 2-1 lead on 1 crack of the bat. That's a good pitch on the inside corner. That's a pitch that Heisey was called out on his first time up.
Yeah, there aren't all that many left-handers that can throw that front door fastball. We talk about that a lot. Bronson Arroyo throws it. Matt Latos does. Sam LeCure, that's his calling card when he's going right. But lefties, it's a different story. That's a hard pitch to make come back enough to get the batter to bail and hit the inside corner.
Pulled him badly there off speed.
And the follow through looked like it got McHenry. I don't know if he got tabbed with the bat on the follow through by Heisey or whether he got a bad hop on the baseball. Oh, A one-arm follow-through by Heisey hits the Pirates catcher in the back of the helmet.
I'm amazed, quite honestly, that doesn't happen more frequently.
You see more and more guys nowadays, of course, follow through with one hand. If you're Heisey, put that out of your mind. It has nothing to do with anything right now.
Heisey behind the count, 0-2 against Locke with the runner at first and 2 away. Pirates got a Garrett Jones home run with 1 out and nobody on in the second inning, and that is the only tally of the afternoon thus far. Jones was a guy you may remember during the All-Star break. All the rumors going around about the Pirates acquiring a bat. Some of those rumors involving the first base position. That's a position owned by Garrett Jones, and he was the one that came out and said, we don't need to go trade for any offense. Well, they might not need to if he keeps swinging the bat the way he has at least the first 2 games and now a 3rd game following the All-Star break. But offense has been the #1 problem for this Pirate team. Their pitching has been spectacular. Their defense has been very, very good by and large, although they did not play well in the field here on Friday night.
The one thing the Reds have been able to take out of the equation so far in this 3-game series is how good that Pirate bullpen is. Now, the Pirate bullpen has come in and kept them in the games, but they haven't had to go into shutdown mode against the Reds to hold on to a lead. That was the advantage of the Reds scoring early in both of their first 2 games of the series.
1-2 to Heisey. And a roller foul. We have not seen Jason Grilli so far in this series. And he's a cover boy for the newest edition of Sports Illustrated.
That hadn't happened in a long time. Barry Bonds, the last guy that was a cover boy for the Pirates.
We had a nice story about Grilli. I don't know if you had a chance to see that, about flying back from New York, going to Pittsburgh. Was in the airport, walked by a magazine stand. He's on the cover. Got the magazine and was sitting on the plane, and apparently a little boy behind him was going in to have heart surgery, had a hole in his heart, and was going to undergo a lung transplant surgery. Really saw the little boy sitting there with his Sports Illustrated, turned around. It was the first autographed copy he had for anybody.
Good story.
Two and 2 on Heisey. Ball 3.
You got to the point now that you're definitely going to run, so a long single by Heisey with the runner off and moving on a 3-2 pitch might be able to score the runner and tie the game up. That's no guarantee, though, that Locke won't go over there once or twice, just to give some measure of thought to Chu. Well, he likes to be in a 3-2 count. I mean, usually the hitter says, I got you where I want you. Locke says the same thing here. 0.93 average when he gets a hitter at 3-2.
Heisey trying to turn those numbers around, and here it comes, and it's a swing and a miss, and that's all. Reds leave him in. We played 3. Pirates lead 1-0.
With Stop Out Bullying, the leading national anti-bullying organization for kids and teens in the U.S. Stop Out Bullying focuses on preventing bullying and all sorts of digital abuse. It educates against racism and hatred, deters violence in schools and online, and helps at-risk students. To learn how you can help, visit stopoutbullying.org.
End of 3, 1 run, 3 hits for the Pirates. They've left 2 on base, no runs, 1 hit, and 2 left on for the Reds against Jeff Locke. 3 batters faced by Bailey in the last inning, retiring the final 3 after a leadoff hit. So it'll be 4, 5, and 6 in their batting order, starting with Alvarez, and it's ball 1 low and away. Bailey is fan 5, walk none. Allowed the solo home run to the man who waits in the on-deck circle, Garrett Jones, in the 2nd inning. Pulled down to Votto, and this will be the first out in the inning. Knock on wood, you look at the cleanup hitter for these Pirates, Alvarez, a National League All-Star, 24 home runs so far this year. 0 for 4 in a series opener, 0 for 5 yesterday, and 0 for his first 2 today. So while the Pirates have kept Jay Bruce quiet, the Reds have done the same thing to Pedro Alvarez.
Now Garrett Jones, the only mark of this ball game so far, and he got a hanging breaking ball right there to launch it way back into the right field sun deck. One of those hanging curveballs that you just, as soon as it leaves your hand, you realize, uh-oh, I hope he doesn't swing at that. But he's seen nothing but fastballs in this at bat. Homer Bailey finally deciding, hey, you're going to hit me, you're going to hit my best stuff.
It's all for Jones.
Boy, Homer Bailey has his stuff working today. That is what looks to me like a sinking fastball, and just at 91 miles an hour. Maybe it's a slider. I mean, he sometimes gets over the top of that slider and throws it so hard, but I mean, if it is, it's incredible. Could be a split finger pitch. He throws that normally at 86, but that last pitch at 91. So with a few extra days rest, Homer Bailey feeling very frisky here this afternoon.
Gone swinging on 3 pitches, McHenry, and a 1-2-3 fourth for Bailey. Votto, Phillips, Bruce coming up. Reds down a run.
Live, the pregame edition. Interviews, first look at the lineups, everything you need to get ready for that day's game. It's Reds Live pregame, and it's presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Jim Day with you. We continue to follow the progress of Ryan Ludwig coming back from a shoulder injury. We've been telling you he's been taking live BP with the team since Thursday, and all signs point to good news for Ryan Ludwig. He is swinging 100%, and now we know when and where he will start his rehab assignment. On Wednesday, he will join the Dayton Dragons in Lansing. Now, normally a player of his caliber, they like to try to have him do rehab assignments at home when the team's at home, but AAA Louisville, AA Pensacola, and Dayton are all on the road this week. So look for Ludwig to move around a bit as far as the schedules go in the minor leagues. A position player can rehab up to 20 days. Ludwig says he hopes he doesn't need all 20, but barring anything unforeseen, he'll begin his comeback on Wednesday. Guys?
Which if all goes well, thank you very much, Jim Day. I think it's probably safe to assume that if he doesn't use all 20 days and there's no setback involved, and obviously our thoughts and prayers are in that direction, the fact, Chris, that maybe when the Reds come back off this next road trip, he could be ready to go.
Well, that would be outstanding. He'd be way ahead of schedule if that was the case. I think that the best case scenario is early in the year when you first saw the injury and then heard what he did and then had to have surgery. Yeah, you're thinking, oh boy, middle of August, would be great to get him back. But if you got him back earlier than that and you had a player who can contribute, the different thing about a shoulder injury like that is that when you have that surgery, you can't go out and start lifting weights until your rehab is almost finished. I mean, it's not like he's in there pumping iron. He's a guy that loves to live in the weight room when he's not on the baseball field. So it's good news that he's been able to come back. He's a very hard worker, and I really believe that when you miss Ryan Ludwig, you miss more than just the bat in the lineup. He's one of those characters in the clubhouse that keeps everybody loose through some tough times.
Votto back up through the middle, backhanded by Mercer. 1 out to begin the bottom of the 4th inning. Here is today's IGS Bringing the Energy, featuring second baseman Brandon Phillips. The most seasons among all second basemen of 75 RBIs or more in the history of baseball, at least going back to 1900. Rogers, Hornsby, Jeff Kent. Kent will be a Hall of Famer. Hornsby already is. Sandberg is. And Brandon Phillips now with 7 of them, if you include his 78 runs batted in here in 2013.
Well, when you have a guy like Brandon Phillips on top of Jeff Kent and Sandberg and Uggla, I mean, they've really redefined that position. I mean, it used to be that shortstop and second base were all good field, no hit. And they'd always be sandwiched down, number 7, 8 in the order. And you didn't expect a whole lot out of them. I mean, it's more and more common now that you see second baseman in that number 3 or 4 slot, or even a power slot like number 5.
Where Sandberg was a guy, what's interesting about him is Sandberg did not like hitting anywhere else in a lineup except for second in the batting order. It was a very strange situation for then manager Don Zimmer in Chicago, where Sandberg would be logically the number 3 hitter on the team. Mark Grace would have been the number 2 hitter on that team, but Sandberg liked the number 2 hole, and that's where they hit him. No telling how many RBIs he might have had batting 3rd rather than 2nd in the order.
Well, you do get more fastballs in the number 2 slot if you're thinking that the best hitter on your team is batting 3rd. You don't want to walk somebody in front of the best hitter on your ball club. So if Sandberg liked to hit the fastball, and he did, that's a spot for him.
1-2 to count on Phillips, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes for Jeff Kent. Well, you talk about a guy that was a quote-unquote late bloomer. I mean, this is a guy Toronto didn't want. He was woeful for the New York Mets. Landed in San Francisco, where Dusty Baker was his manager, and he became one of the most prolific offensive second basemen to ever play the game. Doesn't hurt batting behind Barry Bonds, and what I mean by that is there's going to be somebody on base when you walk up there. Boy, Kent was just that's a hard-nosed, tough, productive player. No nonsense. Not the most affable guy in the world, but Boy, when he walked on the field for your team, he would lay it on the line.
Between he and Barry, it's a tough interview.
Oh, good luck. I had some conversations with Jeff Kent through the years that I just still sit back and I think to myself, there's no way that somebody just said that. But he did. Gone swinging Phillips. Boy, and Locke is carving up the Reds here today. They have one hit. That was an infield hit. And that is now 5 strikeouts for Locke.
He's usually not a high strikeout pitcher, but Jeff Locke, just like Homer Bailey, has a good fastball today, and he's got good command of it. He nowhere near comes with the same velocity that the Red starter does. Actually about 1.5 years younger than Homer Bailey. Nowhere near as many major league starts. Like Bailey has more than 100 starts more than Locke does at the major league level. Of course, Locke originally drafted and signed by the Atlanta Braves. He was traded to the Pirates in that Nate McLouth deal that also included Charlie Morton. He was an A-ball player at the time, so you know you scout an organization up and down, and you think, all right, I got to find a good arm down there that may be a promising player someday down the road. That's why when you start evaluating trades, even deadline trades, you can't really make a final verdict on it until you give those trades several years to mature. And in this case, Jeff Locke is the guy that would prove to be the kingpin in that deal.
Boy, Jay Brucey's last 2 pitches, he was ahead in the count 2-0. He missed the 2-0 pitch by 2 feet and then chased another breaking ball that they ring him up on the appeal, and now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes, and neither one of those pitches was a strike.
You know, in baseball players' vernacular, it's seeing the ball. And it's not as simple as just seeing the ball out of a pitcher's hand. It's identifying the pitch, figuring out whether it's going to be a strike or a ball, and then all in that in a 1/5 of a second. And Jay sees it really well sometimes and not very well others.
Right through the heart of the order without a ball leaving the infield for Locke here in the 4th inning. We're on our way to the 5th. Pirates in front, 1-0. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Toyota. See your Toyota dealer. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by JTM Food Group, trading great dishes together. Right along the banks of the Ohio River, 1-0. Pirates in front In front of a sellout crowd here at Great American Ballpark, the Reds are gunning for the sweep. They got a base hit by Shin-Soo Choo to lead off the first inning. They have not had a hit since against Jeff Locke. Only one pitch would Homer Bailey like to have back in this one, and that was a home run on a hanging breaking ball that looked like to Garrett Jones with one out in the second inning, and Jones homered to the seats in right center field. 1-1 on Jordy Mercer, latter third in the batting order. Mercer, Barmes, Locke. Bailey is fan 7. He's not walked a batter and allowed 3 base hits. Underway in St. Louis, still batting in the opening inning and already on the board against Adam Wainwright is San Diego. A 1-0 lead at Busch Stadium. The Reds are trailing the Cardinals by 4 games in the National League Central after gaining a game yesterday. Pirates beginning play 2 behind St. Louis and obviously 2 in front of the Reds.
Now, the Pirates played the Cardinals pretty well last year. They haven't played them very many times already this year, only 5 times total. But they were 1 game over 500 in their 15 meetings last year. The team that they struggled against last year, the Pirates had, is the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers were 11-4 against the Pittsburgh Pirates last year. They also struggled against the Reds. They only won 7 of 18 games against the Reds. The Pirates did. But this year they've turned it around on the Brewers. Clint Hurl has seen his ball club win 9 of the 13 games they played against the Brew Crew. Of course, what the Pirates are really trying to shake is that history, recent especially, of just dropping off the face of the baseball earth in the second half. Yes, last year they were 20 games under 500. 20 games under 500 in August and September. And that pretty much did them in.
Behind the bag, it is a foul ball.
And the Pirates have to have played very good baseball really to get to where they are. Remember when they started the season, they ended up winning only 1 of the first 6 games they played. They were 1-5 to start the season off.
Take a look at these numbers though. Prior to July the 20th, over 500, they won 21 games the rest of the year. And then last year, 63-47. They were 20 under, as Chris pointed out. 16 wins.
Yeah. So, and right now they're attendance wise, let's kind of take a correlation to that. They're 14th of the 15 teams in the National League. And so their fan base hasn't bought into them yet. And they realize that in Pittsburgh. And that may be a hesitation for ownership saying, well, you know, what comes first? Our, show of going out and demonstrating, going out and getting some extra players, putting more money on the payroll to get the team over the top, or do the fans have to buy into it and then we can go do it?
Well, Clint Hurdle made the comment yesterday. We were talking about the pressure. Is there pressure for them to go out and make a deal? He said, look, he said everybody has forgotten about the fact that in 2011, he said we went out and traded for Ryan Ludwig and we went out and traded for Derek Lee. He said now for our franchise, those were huge deals to bring in a couple of guys that have had very good, if not great, major league careers. 3-2 again on Barmes, and there's ball 4 as Bailey walks a number 8 hitter in the batting order with nobody on and 1 out here in the 5th inning. He said, now look, last year we made some smaller deals that we thought were going to work out better, which they did not. He said, but he says he speaks with Neil Huntington, their general manager, every single day. He said there are all kinds of rumors out there, and he said we will, if we feel like it works, pull the trigger on a major deal again if it matches up. So we're about to find out. And that ball just got away from Corky Miller, and there's a runner at second base.
That's one of those plays, I think, where the bat is at the same level as the pitch and somehow misses the bat, and the catcher just gets shielded out. He kind of goes down on it, and Corky Miller, rather than block that ball, tries to backhand and gets away from him. We've seen that happen twice, once with Locke on the base pass, and now with Clem Barmas on the base paths.
Pass ball charge to Corky Miller. And there's a strike to Locke. 0-2.
Well, those are the two deals you talked about, though, the Ryan Ludwig deal and the Derek Lee deal. They brought in two really good, solid citizen / leadership type players that really, I think, helped their ball club and those young players that they surround themselves with to learn a little bit about what it's like to be a good big leaguer. Although it didn't pay off in the standings. Homer Bailey gets number 9 right there. He has struck out 4 of the last 5. 5 of the last 7. And another high strikeout game for Homer Bailey. They'll be counting down the pizzas here pretty soon.
So now it's Starling Marte. It's a big run out there at second base. The Reds only have 1 hit against Jeff Locke through the front 4 innings. Reds down 1-0. Marte has popped up to Brandon Phillips on the first pitch of the game, and Bailey struck him out in the third. Strike 1. And now Bailey ahead of Marte at 0-2. Got away with a bit of a hanger right there to Marte.
You know, the problem with throwing that high fastball is that your margin of error is anything below where you throw it. I mean, you want it around the chin. If you throw it over the hitter's head, it does no good at all because it never even looks like a strike. So you want to get it right there, but if you drop it down a little bit and you're facing a hitter that can hit the high pitch, that's when you run into a problem. That's a pitch that you really have to practice as a pitcher in order to throw that ball there.
Straight away center field. Shoes got it, and the inning is over. So Bailey pitches around a 1-out walk. He's thrown a good game here today. Needs some help from his offense. Ballpark Sunday, August 4th. The Reds and the Cardinals at half price with the Reach Magazine family deal. Don't forget the first 8,000 kids 14 and younger get a kid's sweatshirt drawstring bag presented by Meyer. It's a big weekend, August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th against the Cardinals. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or log on to Reds.com. Today will be the final day of the month of July where the Reds are at home. They have a long road trip through Atlanta, preceded by Milwaukee leading up to the break. And now a 3-game series to begin the second half after the break. And a 3-city road trip which begins tomorrow night in San Francisco. 1-0 to Todd Frazier. 2-0 to Todd Frazier. Reds down 1-0. Two walks, 5 strikeouts, 1 infield hit. The Reds have accumulated against left-handed Jeff Locke, who has the second lowest ERA among all pitchers in the National League. But we've seen him do this already a couple of times today. Joey Votto, a 4-pitch walk in the first inning. Shin-Soo Choo, a 4-pitch walk in the third. Fell behind Jay Bruce 2-0. Came back to strike him out. Now 3-0 on Frazier. 3-1.
You know, if you watch very carefully, you see that little bit of action at the very end of the pitch when Locke throws that fastball. And that's where he gets most of his misses. That's a changeup right there. He's not afraid to throw that pitch. 3-1, 3-2. He got Chris Heisey to strike out on the 3rd inning on the same pitch right there. Feathers it on the outside corner. But he's got action, and that's the difference on his fastball.
One out. Time to answer our AT&T trivia question. Who is the only player to have his number retired by the Reds, and he also played for the Pirates? The great Ted Kluszewski. Big Clue. What a guy.
Boy, you're not kidding.
What a guy.
You know, he used to have a baseball camp in Bainbridge, Ohio.
You went to that?
I went down there a couple of years in a row. He'd go down there, he'd take batting practice. And see if he could hit one into the woods.
I hope somebody on the mound had a screen.
Well, no, I don't know who was throwing batting. It wasn't any of the kids. We just sat there oohed and awed when he, you know, showed some muscles. And they had an old baseball down there, used to call Old Nelly. And they kept throwing that Old Nelly up there because they wanted him to hit that one, not the one of the new ones, you know, over the railroad tracks. What a great man.
No question.
Well, you know, look back on Ted Kluszewski's statistics, and really, I mean, the home runs was one thing and the great years of playing, but the fact that he didn't strike out as a power hitter, those numbers are just, it is incredible.
4-pitch walk. 3rd time he's done that. He fell behind Frazier 3-0 and came all the way back to get him out.
Same thing that Homer Bailey did in the top of the 5th inning. With 1 out, he walked the number 8 hitter. That's what Locke does here. With 1 out, he walks the number 7 hitter. And here comes the 8 hitter in Corky Miller.
You almost wonder, Chris, you talked about it from the very first inning of this game. What, 7 first pitch strikes to now 16, 17 batters in this game for Locke?
Yeah, well under 50%. You compare that with what Homer Bailey's thrown, about 80% first pitch strikes. So if you're going to not pitch that first pitch in there for a strike, you've got to have good control of your off-speed pitch, meaning your changeup. And that's what Locke is doing now. It looks all of a sudden he seems to have really lost it in this inning.
He has thrown 2 strikes in this inning.
And he's
fell
missed by
behind
a lot.
Frazier 3-0. Threw him a strike. Threw him a changeup. Frazier swung and missed 3-1. Threw him another changeup and got Frazier in on his hands to hit a little roller to second base. Walks Cozart on 4 in a row. Goes 2-0 now on Miller. And here's Ray Seary.
Well, you know, they skipped Jeff Locke's last start. That was before the All-Star break. So it's been and because he had some lower back tightness. Not enough to put him on the disabled list, but certainly enough to make sure that he didn't aggravate it before the All-Star game. So then that will give him almost 2 weeks between starts. And I imagine that you're going to expect a little bit of control problems, but more so in the first couple of innings and here in the middle of the ball game. So he just may be falling into one of those mechanical snafus that pitchers get into every once in a while. I don't know if Ray Searage can diagnose it or not. But if you're Corky Miller, you've got one of two theories right here. Number one, you're hacking at the first fastball you see right down the middle, or you make Jeff Locke throw a couple of pitches for strikes.
Well, that's a borderline strike there on the outside corner. 2-1 to Miller.
Yeah, he just took something off to throw it in there. That was neither a changeup nor a fastball right there. It was just, I'm going to kind of throw a dart right there, and he does get the benefit of the call.
Tying one at first, one out. We are in the bottom of the 5th inning. And Locke keeping an eye on Zach Cozart. Talked about it many, many times. Cozart is only 2.5 years removed from a 30 stolen base season in AAA Louisville. He had 9 before he got hurt in 2011. Last year in a full season for the Reds, he only attempted 4 steals the entire year, made it all 4 times. He does not have a single stolen base attempt here in 2013.
Well, unless you are very confident that Corky Miller is going to make contact right here, you don't steal Cozart. Locke has just been a shutdown pitcher from the standpoint of a running game.
And he has walked the number 7 and 8 batters consecutively, with one out here in the 5th.
I mean, it looks like he's really struggling just to try to find an arm slot. And what's happened when the pitcher goes through that is that you become less aggressive, you become tentative, and it even becomes harder to throw a strike because that's all you're thinking about is throw a strike. Left-hander on the mound, though. Bunt situation for Homer Bailey. Homer's got to get that ball down the third base line and get it down hard because Locke is a good athlete.
But you also have to, at the same time, Chris, as you know, you got to make sure you're bunting a strike.
Well, you're right. I mean, but assume you bunt a strike. But you've got to be able to get that bat head out there and bunt it down the third baseline because Locke is very quick off the mat. He's a 2-time high school all-star basketball player, all-state. And he'll be busting his behind over there to the third baseline.
Well, a quick visit, Bailey with a third base coach. 2 on and 1 out. Well, he can't do it any better than that. In the dirt. What a play down there by the second baseman, Mercer. That had disaster written all over it, and a job well done by Bailey.
You take the suspense out of it by getting it down on the first pitch that you see, and he gets it down and deadens it perfectly. I think part of the problem right there is that the pitcher Locke got kind of in the way of the catcher McHenry. But Homer Bailey does it and helps himself right there. That is textbook. Well, that's the kind of play that in the 2 previous games have gotten away from the Pirates defensively, and Reds have been able to put a big number on the board.
Biggest at bat of the game so far for the Reds, and it's Shin-Soo Choo against Locke. Choo has been on base twice. Led off the first inning with a base hit off the body of Locke that trickled over by the second baseman Mercer, and then he drew a 4-pitch walk in the third inning. Tying run at third, lead run at second, Choo out. Strike one.
That was a huge pitch right there, because a fastball for Locke, that might be the last fastball he throws Choo for a strike in this at bat.
Talked about the turnaround against the left-handers so far here in July for Choo. Boy, he jumped all over that fastball and too far out in front of it. Locke ahead, 0-2.
You take a look at those batting against left-handed pitchers numbers again. The raw numbers are only a difference of 3 hits. So goes to show you, of course, depending on the number of at bats you have, doesn't take very many hits to run that batting average either up or down.
Well, now Choo in the hole behind 0-2. First batter that Locke has gotten ahead of in this inning outside of the pitcher Bailey, and that was a 1-pitch at bat for the sacrifice. And it gets away, and the tying run will score.
Jeff Locke out there just trying to throw his best slider ever, and he just wants to snap it off so hard that he bounces away in front of the plate. Doesn't give McHenry even a chance to block it. And the Reds will get a run on the board thanks to the wild pitch.
Reds did not hit a ball out of the infield in this inning. Yet they have walked twice, scored a run, and have the go-ahead run at third with 2 outs. Popped up. Short left field. Alvarez out to get it, inning over. 2 walks, a bunt, and a wild pitch. On our way to the 6th in a 1-1 game. Also like to remind you about the Reds on August the 6th and the 7th will be here at Great American Ballpark. The Oakland Athletics come in for a 2-game series Tuesday night. August 6th. Be one of 30,000 fans through the gates, and you'll take home a Joey Votto bobblehead presented by Formica. 381 Reds, a number to dial. That'll be a big night. Tuesday, August 6th. Joey Votto bobblehead night. Reds will be looking for revenge against those Athletics who just shut them down in a 2-game stop in the Bay Area earlier this year. Reds score on a couple of walks, a bunt, and a wild pitch to tie the game. And now Homer Bailey out to the mound. His bunt set the stage for that wild pitch. Moving a runner to third. And Cozart able to score on the one that got away. The 80th pitch of the afternoon for Bailey, who's fan 9, allowed 1 run on 3 hits. And he's fallen behind Snyder 2-0. Snyder, McCutchen, Alvarez here in the Pirate 6th inning. Reno.
Now, this is one of those momentum innings, if you want to call it that. It's not like your team put a big number on the board, but in a 1-0 ball game, when you come back and tie it up, you certainly have a little bit of the energy going in your favor. You don't want to walk the leadoff hitter to let that dissolve away. Homer Bailey still just playing catch at 97.
Still 3-2 on Travis Snyder. Ready for you, Chris.
Mine's already en route. I got to catch up with a skidoo.
3-2 the count, and that's in the air down to the left field line. In the corner, high Z, and touched by a fan down there. Well, you don't know if Heisey would have had a play on that. I mean, that was right above the padding there. It's a 3-2 pitch now to Snyder once more, leading off the inning. Got him swinging. 10 of them for Bailey. Came all the way back from 3-0.
Yeah, that was a great sequence right there for Homer Bailey. Blew him away on the fastball, but he went a different way earlier against Andrew McCutchen. And here is today's whiff, brought to you by Head & Shoulders, now with a hint of Old Spice. There's the fastball away for Homer Bailey. Strikeout number 10 in the afternoon. Now, earlier in the game, it was a slider that did in Andrew McCutchen. Went fast, went slider, fastball, and then slider again, eventually getting McCutchen to strike out. That was strikeout number 5. And he jumps ahead of McCutchen in this at bat. No balls and a strike.
Bailey, the first time through the batting order, had 3 strikeouts. He had 6 the second time through the batting order. And now a strikeout to begin the third time through, and he's ahead of McCutchen at 0-2.
You know, the strikeouts for Homer Bailey this year, it really shows me that it's kind of a breakout year for Bailey. I know his record is 5-8. He's under 500. He's had good games. He's had some clunkers. But when you start limiting the number of times the opposition actually puts the ball in play, as much as Homer Bailey has done this year, and keep the ball in the ballpark as well as Homer has done this year. He's only given up 10 home runs all year, including the one today by Jones. I mean, you put yourself into that conversation of being, ace type pitcher. Now you're just looking for the consistency every fifth day. So you're throwing 97 and 99 miles an hour out here in the fifth inning on a 90-degree day in Cincinnati. Man, I mean, he's got some stuff.
Two and two on McCutchen. Two hopper at Cozart. 2 out. Well, the Reds getting that run, it's a whole different vibe inside this ballpark. I mean, they're not going to cover off the ball. They've done next to nothing against Locke. They have all of one base hit, and that was the first batter. But all of a sudden, you tie the game, starting to move to the middle part of the game, late in the middle part of the game. And there's a whole different feel around this ballpark. Reds trying to make it 3 wins in a row over these Pirates. It's the way they began. You may remember last year, as we brought up earlier, starting the second half. Then it was against the St. Louis Cardinals with a 3-game sweep, and that proved to be a springboard for a monster month of July. Another one in August, en route to 97 wins and a National League Central Division title. One and one to Alvarez. Hitless today. Hitless in the series. Today is grounded out to the 2 All-Stars on the right side of the Reds infield. Fastball at 97 miles per hour off the outside corner. Reds will have Heisey, Votto, Phillips coming up against Locke in the bottom of this inning. Bailey ready with a 2-1. 3 balls and a strike. Well, Alvarez challenged with the gas at 97 and fouls it out of play. Full count. Big deep breath from Bailey. And now the payoff pitch coming to Alvarez. Got him swinging to end the inning. Career high for Bailey, 11 punch outs on the afternoon. For the best record among all National League teams, the Reds tied up with the Atlanta Braves after the Braves lost yesterday to the White Sox, and the Reds won, of course, over the Pirates here. So the top 3 records all residing in the National League Central Division. Atlanta tied there with the Reds, same winning percentage. They are the leaders in the East, and Arizona the leaders in the West. Although that could change by the end of the day today. The Dodgers throw up a 6th spot. That one is in the air, left center field, and McCutchen will have room at the warning track. As Heisey swung in the first pitch, and that's an out. Dodgers scored 7 runs in the 2nd inning today against the Washington Nationals. What has happened to the Washington Nationals?
I don't know. The Pirates are going to find that out. They leave here after this ball game this afternoon. They head to Washington for the second of a 3-city road trip that they're on. They'll play 4 Monday through Thursday against the Nationals before they end up the weekend in Miami.
We're tied at 1 here. Joey Votto, the batter, looks at ball 1. Of course, Davey Johnson, sometimes, you look back, and Davey been around a while. And from time to time during his great managerial career has not been afraid to really go out on a limb. There's a jam shot floater right at the second baseman, and I mean no time at all. 2 outs here in the Reds' 6th inning. But Davey Johnson, who's already said this will be his final year as a manager in spring training, said it is World Series or bust for his Washington Nationals after racking up the most wins in all the National League, 98 of them a season ago. They are in danger today, trailing 9-1 of slipping to 2 games under the 500 mark and beginning the second half of the season getting swept at home. Now Brandon Phillips. Locke has given up 1 base hit, and that was the first batter the Reds sent to the plate against him in the very first inning. And it was a 1-hopper off of his leg that never left the infield, trickled over by Jordy Mercer, and by the time he got there, he couldn't throw out Chu. 0-2 on Brandon.
Now that changeup has just been such an effective weapon for him. Really doing it a lot different way than Homer Bailey, as Homer simply rearing back at this point in the ballgame and throwing that 97 heat right by the Pirates. And Locke is more of a crafty left-hander. A lot of pitchers, when they run into problems, they have a problem controlling their front side. They fly open with their front side, their arm lags behind. It leads to arm injury, bad control, and so on. And you wonder if that little turn that Locke has, a little bit like what Johnny Cueto has developed in his delivery, helps him with his timing. He gets the benefit of a high strike there.
Once again, he just goes right through the heart of the order without even breaking a sweat. great deal from your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Honda dealer. Our game summary. A solo home run by Garrett Jones with one out in the second inning to make it 1-0. Jeff Locke, second lowest ERA in the National League, just carving up the Reds offensively today. He's only allowed one hit, but a couple of walks, a sacrifice bunt. He uncorks a wild pitch, allowing Zach Cozart to score. That made it 1-1, and Homer Bailey has set a career high with 11 strikeouts here in the game today. Bailey has allowed just 3 hits in a run.
Well, Bailey's had some of his best games ever against the Pittsburgh Pirates. He comes in here with a record overall of 8-2 against the Pirates. The team has gone 10-3 in those starts, and this is a very typical Homer Bailey versus the Pittsburgh Pirates day.
First pitch fastball to Garrett Jones. It was a breaking ball that Jones hammered to the seats in right field in the second inning, and Bailey just challenged him with fastballs his last time up and struck him out. Will be pitch number 100 on the afternoon for Homer Bailey.
Yeah, and you know, for Homer Bailey, it makes a tough decision for Dusty Baker. When you get into the area of 105, 110, 115 pitches, when do you take him out? Because clearly he doesn't lose his fastball. I mean, he usually throws his fastball in the upper 90s later in the ball game rather than earlier in the game. But when you have a lot of strikeouts like Bailey has today, 11 of them, you're going to throw a lot of pitches. Way more than a contact pitcher will.
Boy, that baby came back to eat. That foul ball just off to our left. That was one that I saw years ago working with the late great Ron Santo, where he stuck that hand out there to try and make the catch at Shea Stadium. Hit him in the wrist, snapped his Rolex right in half, and down in the stands and went. He never saw it again. Gone swinging is Jones, and that's a 12th strikeout.
Why am I not surprised at that?
It's a true story.
Probably could have bought it back.
And of course, nobody disliked New York more than Ron Santo. That was the scene of the crime of the '69 Mets when they rallied to overtake the Cubs that year. The Black Cat incident around the on-deck circle at Old Shea Stadium. Man. Now McHenry. Up and in, ball 1. See, McHenry only has 3 home runs all year long, but 2 of them have come against the Reds. 1 ball and 1 strike. What a pitching duel today here at Great American Ballpark. Homer Bailey, a career high 12 strikeouts, 1 run, 3 hits allowed. Jeff Locke, 1 run, 1 hit. And what a difference this game means for both of these teams in the standings. And what the long-term repercussions are from that, only time will fill us in. But a day like today is a 2-game swing in the standings. The difference between Dusty Baker's team being 1 behind the Pirates or 3 behind the Pirates. Swing and a foul ball out of play. Reds will have 6 more against Pittsburgh this year. They have 10 more against St. Louis this year. We brought up earlier the Pirates have a whopping 13 games left this season against the Cardinals. 1-2 on McHenry. Cardinals, by the way, have scored a run, still batting in the bottom of the 3rd inning with runners at 1st and 3rd and nobody out. tied with San Diego. Once more the 1-2 pitch, and it's high with a fastball. Bailey consistently all day long, 95, 96, 97. Eighth pitch in this at bat coming up. And pitch number 111 in the game for Bailey. Another foul ball out of play.
Pitch number 9 right there, or pitch number 8. It is in a bat like this that can cost a pitcher an extra inning in a ball game. You get to this point in the game, now you're over 111. You don't know what's going to happen here with the next batter up. But you'd love to run Homer Bailey out there just as long as you possibly can today. Reds have J.J. Hoover in the bullpen now warming up.
Three and two to McHenry. This will be the 10th pitch in this at bat. In the air, left center field, pretty well hit, and that ball is up against the wall. So McHenry comes off a very impressive at bat with a double into left center field.
Boy, it does seem like Michael McHenry saves his best for the Reds, and he fouled off some very tough pitches from Bailey. I mean, Bailey in this at bat was throwing, upper 90s. And a short stroke there off the left center field wall. I mean, Hoover's been throwing down there long enough that if Dusty Baker did want to go to the bullpen, he'd have plenty of chance to bring him in. He's hot and ready to go. 113 pitches for Homer Bailey. Yeah, that's really nothing.
That is the first base hit for the Pirates since that bouncer over the mound by the pitcher Jeff Locke leading off the third inning. But now the go-ahead run in scoring position in Mercer, the batter, and it's low ball one. Mercer has struck out swinging each of his first 2 times today. A ball and a strike on Jordy Mercer. Pirates have had activity in their bullpen. That was just a short while ago. And now they have the left-hander Watson joined by the right-hander who's been up for a while, Brian Morris. 2-1 to Mercer. _117th pitch coming up for Homer Bailey. And he's got the go-ahead run for the Pirates out there in scoring position. Ground ball up the middle, and it's into center field to hit. They're going to wave around the runner, and the Pirates have taken the lead on a double and a single with 1 out.
Got an RBI single by Jordy Mercer. Jordy Mercer brings in the go-ahead run. Let's take a look at this Mazda pitch-by-pitch from Homer Bailey. You see a lot of breaking balls there. The fastball in this inning to Mercer anyway, not there for Homer Bailey. Looks like that was finally a slider that he throws down and away, and Mercer just puts the bat on the ball, finds a hole up the middle. A tough break for the Reds and Homer Bailey there. And Homer probably very happy to see Brian Price on the mound rather than Dusty Baker on the mound. Dusty Baker comes out, he's going to the bullpen. Brian Price is saying, hey, take a breather right here, roll up a ground ball double play, get us out of the inning, and we'll see if we can't score a couple.
Barmes about it with 1 on, 1 in. 2-1 Pirates. They have their second lead of the afternoon. This is a team that has only lost 2 games the entire year when they have led at the end of 7. With that dynamic duo of Melanson and Grilli working the 8th and 9th innings. Barmes has struck out and drawn a walk. Pitcher spot due up next, and already they have a pinch hitter standing in the on-deck circle in Tabata. Runner goes and a foul ball out of play. Runner going again. They start the runner, and this could be an infield hit, and the ball gets away from Votto. Boy, right there in a nutshell is why there are some managers with certain players you love to start runners. That is an easy force out at second base if the runner's not going, and that was on a 2-strike pitch.
You're right. You can see the swing right there, just trying to stay alive. Kozar does everything he can. He feels it, quickly gets rid of it. And that's just one of those plays that happens. It just bad luck, bad timing.
You know, when you look at the personnel on these teams, both of these teams strike out a lot. The Pirates have struck out the 3rd most teams of the times among all teams in the National League. So it's not like they have a lot of guys that are putting the ball in play on a regular basis, but down at the bottom of that order. Obviously, Clint Hurdle feeling confident, and why shouldn't he? Tabata bangs one into center field. And Bailey just can't find an out. Well, he has reached 121 pitches in the game. It's 3-1.
And Dusty Baker just about sprinting up the steps at this point. He left Homer Bailey in, figuring that was the best chance for the Reds to shut down this inning. As it turns out, the Pirates get the best of Homer Bailey, and Dusty Baker will make a trip out to the mound and make a pitching change. Our Skyline Chili call the bullpen. We'll be back after this.
If you're born and raised in Ohio, want to be a connection to Ohio sports fans like Sarah and Christine are, go to girls.foxsportsohio.com and submit an application. And the casting call for the next Fox Sports Ohio girl will end this coming Wednesday. Good luck. So now on a pitch, right-hander J.J. Hoover with 2 on, 2 in a 3-1 Pirate lead here in the 7th.
Got out the way the Dusty Baker and the Reds crowd wanted this 7th inning to play out. Homer Bailey left in the ballgame. He started out the inning by striking out Garrett Jones. He was the guy that hit the home run early in the ballgame. And then McHenry, after a long at bat, hit a double. A couple of hits later, and now the Reds are down by 2. J.J. Hoover comes in. Game number 40 for Hoover.
Well, you said it at the time, and we have seen it with Reds pitchers. We've seen it with other teams' pitchers. That one at bat sometimes can be the at bat that's the end of the line. And of course, you have no way of knowing that. We saw Alan Craig, I think, had an at bat earlier this year against Mike Leake, and he had just narrowly gotten out of trouble. Long at bat, wound up retiring Craig, but then allowed a couple of base hits to knock in runs. And that was a 10-pitch at bat after Bailey had gotten ahead of McHenry before he doubled with 1 out. And again, there's no way of knowing that. High into the air, straight away center field will back up Chu. Runner stay put, 2 away in the inning. And there's still a long way to go in this thing. Granted, the bullpen of the Pirates has been spectacular all year long. The #1 ranked bullpen in all of baseball. But do not forget, Jason Grilli has 1 blown save this year. And that was right here in this ballpark against the Reds when he gave up a game-tying home run to Jay Bruce, a game the Reds would win in extra innings. Oh, and 1 on Travis Snyder. Reds will have Jay Bruce, Todd Frazier, Zach Cozart due up. Jeff Locke obviously out of the game. Allows 1 run, 1 hit in 6 innings. One and 2 to count. Fly ball short left. Heisey comes in to get it, but major damage done with 1 out. 4 consecutive hits, plating a pair of runs against Bailey. They stand and stretch here at Great American Ballpark, locking the Pirates in front of the Reds 3-1.
Please stand. Kindly remove your hats and face the American flag. Major League Baseball, the Pirates and the Reds salute the men and women of our armed forces, as well as those who serve to protect in our local police and fire departments. At this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all of our veterans of service, and welcome Angela Rain as she leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Game today, John Myros from Daytona Beach Shores, Florida. How about that? Will win the new Tundra. By the way, John's celebrating his 65th birthday today. What a birthday present that would be. You can register for your chance to win in an upcoming game. Stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. All right, well, Jeff Locke out of the game. The Pirates break a 1-1 tie with a pair in the top of this 7th inning. And now this #1 ranked Pirate bullpen will try and get the final 9 outs. The Reds, of course, hoping to come back here in front of a sellout crowd. Only 1 hit in the game for the Reds. They've had a total of 4 base runners since the hit by Chu to lead off the 1st inning, and all 4 of them have come on walks. Jay Bruce, meanwhile, is still in search of his 1st hit in this series, and he's facing the left-hander Tony Watson.
Yeah, the very capable Tony Watson. He's been a workhorse for the Pirates the last couple of years. 68 ball games last year. That was his sophomore year as a major leaguer. Former Cornhusker from Nebraska, born in Sioux City, Iowa. Big guy, 6'4", 230. You know, there's one way to evaluate a bullpen is the number of saves you have, and that oftentimes shows you the quality of the closer and so on. But the team hold stat is essentially a way to look at your bullpen as a whole towards the end of the game. And the Reds and the Pirates are really separating themselves from the rest of the National League. They're tied with the Rays with 54 each. But they're 5 ahead of any other National League team. Both the Pirates and the Reds are. So both of these managers have had the peace of mind of knowing that when you have a little bit of a lead, you go late in the ball game, you don't usually relinquish that lead.
That Rays team got off to a terrible start. They are the hottest team in Major League Baseball. They've won 4 in a row. They've won 9 of 10. Only lost 3 times in the last 22 games. 3-2 to Jay Bruce. Well, Brian Morris has been up a couple of times already. He's just sort of standing on that bullpen mound out there in right field right now. Big pitch right here. Pulled foul. Threw him off speed there at 3-2. Look at that proverbial bloop and a blast away from tying this game up. Reds down a pair, and Bruce with a full count leading off the bottom of the 7th inning. And he walks. Well, without a left-handed batter in sight, Clint Hurdle will come out and get Tony Watson. And he will bring on the right-hander Brian Morris from his bullpen, with right-handed batters Frazier, Cozart, Miller would be thereafter if he does indeed bat. So here comes Morris to face Frazier in a 2-run game. Game here on Fox Sports Ohio. We'll break it all down with Reds Live. Reds Live brought to you by Kings Honda, the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. One of our favorite moments on Reds Live is on the occasions where the Reds sweep a series, to see Jim Day sort of do his thing out there with a broom. But right now the Reds are down by 2. We are only in the 7th inning. Brian Morris takes over for Tony Watson on the mound after a leadoff walk to Jay Bruce.
Now another strong arm out of this Pirate bullpen. Reds get the leadoff walk, and now they're going to have to face a right-hander Morris. No pinch hitter here for Todd Frazier. We saw Jack Hanahan play yesterday against the right-hander, but I think maybe in this particular case you're looking for Todd Frazier to run into one right here and tie this baby up.
Ball 1 away. Saw Morris in the opening game of this series. He worked a 1-2-3 8th inning, including facing the guys he's going to face right now. He got Frazier on a ground ball to third. He struck out Cozart Devin Mesoraco hit a rocket off this guy to left field for the final out in that 8th inning. I mean, these are the guys that they will use. They'll mix and match to try and get through 7. Where we mentioned with a lead, they have only lost 2 games all year long. Their all-stars, Melanson and Grilly, the right-handed setup guy and the closer. They have just been nails all season long. That's in a straightaway center field, hit pretty well, but McCutchen will have room. This hard hit ball, 1 out.
Boy, just a little bit on the end of the bat for Todd Frazier. Did not miss that by much. Put a good swing on it, got a fastball down, and that's where Frazier likes to go get him, but just a hair off the sweet spot.
Now to third. Not a good throw, and Mercer having to make sure that he got the out. De Alvarez has not had a good series down at third base. There have been a lot of plays that he just simply has not made.
Well, the Pirates turn ground balls into outs better than any team in the National League, but you'd never know it from the looks of him in this particular series. A wide throw right there pulls Mercer off the bag, and Mercer's a tall guy. And he realized he was nowhere around second base. You're not going to get that phantom call on a play like that. So he gets the lead runner, and they get 1. No error on the play.
Xavier Paul going to be sent up to pinch hit for Corky Miller. Reds have had to really be very careful with both Paul and Derek Robinson. You may remember both of them on the last road trip before the All-Star break had separate collisions into outfield walls and jarring shoulders for each of those two. And neither one has started a game in this series. They have the other left-hander down in that bullpen, Justin Wilson, ready to go. And Clint Hurdle will come get Morris, who retires the only 2 batters that he faces. So we will take another break in the action. $8 ticket offer August 23rd through the 25th at Great American Ballpark. $48 you get 4 view level tickets and 4 Reds hats. It's a 4-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers. 3-game series, I beg your pardon. Now the offer is subject, of course, to availability. Xavier Paul, left-hander, taken down after being announced as a pinch hitter following the arrival of left-hander Justin Wilson out of the bullpen, and in his second go-round with the Reds, this guy's got a lot of pop in his bat. One major league at bat for Neftali Soto. Ball one low. Soto, 2011, hit 30 home runs at Carolina, tacked on one more when they brought him up to Louisville. Last year, a slight step back in his career coming through the organization, but this guy can hit, and hit it a long way when he puts a bat on the ball.
Well, they do like his power, there's no doubt. The thing about Soto, a little bit of a long swing. He's got actually a better chance of getting a ball that's down and out over the plate than he is something crowding him inside. Those are the numbers he had at Louisville, already home runs, and there are 11 of them in 84 games.
1 on, 2 out, 1-1 with the Reds down 3-1. Swing and a miss on a 97-mile-per-hour fastball.
We don't see many of those in Louisville.
Gone swinging Soto, and the Reds are gone after a leadoff walk in the 7th inning. We move to the 8th, 3-1 Pirates. Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Cincinnati Children's Hospital, which ranks 3rd in the nation in the U.S. News and World Report's 2013 Best Children's Hospitals in America. That's 3 years in a row. And by Chevy, stop into your Tri-State Chevy dealer today and check out their full line of fuel-efficient vehicles. Beautiful day in Cincinnati. Not so good right now on the scoreboard as the Reds trail by a pair after the Pirates broke a 1-1 tie with 2 runs in the 7th. Homer Bailey struck out a career-high 12 and 6 in the 3rd innings. His 12th strikeout was the first batter in the 7th. But then Michael McHenry had a 10-pitch at bat, which he finished off with a double off the left center field wall. And that would start a string of 4 consecutive hits off Bailey, plating 2 runs for the Pirates, snapping the 1-1 tie. Meanwhile, the Padres trail the Cardinals 3-1, a game in the 5th. Reds have pulled within 4 games of first place for the first time since July the 8th. High fly ball in the left center field off the bat of McCutchen, and Heisey waits. 1 out. Reds have one hit today. Hard to win a game with one hit. They have 2 more cracks at him against the 2 All-Stars down in that Pirate bullpen, Melanson and Grilly.
Yeah, that hit came with the first batter the Reds sent to the plate. A ground ball off the body of the pitcher.
You know, we talked so much on Friday and yesterday, and Chris a little bit today, about what the Pirates might do at the trade deadline. Now, we brought up earlier, Jim Day reported that Ryan Ludwig will be going out on a rehab assignment this week. So he has 20 full days to get himself prepared to rejoin the major league club, barring any setbacks, of course. And when Ludwig comes back, if all is well, in good health, obviously he will take over in left field whenever that time may come. But there have been a lot of rumors about the Reds looking around at a veteran third baseman on this ball club. There have been rumors about Michael Young in Philadelphia, and whispers about some other veteran third basemen around teams in baseball. Now, whether or not any of that transpires, of course, we'll know soon enough. Trade deadline is coming up in, what, 10 days?
Now, the right-handed hitters on this ball club, the Reds that is, are the ones that are really not carried their weight. I mean, if you're comparing other than Brandon Phillips. But overall, the Reds right-handed hitters are batting .230. That batting average is last in the league. On base percentage for those right-handers, second last in the league. The Cubs are the only ones that are worse than that. And as far as slugging, the Marlins are the only team that has a worse right-handed slugging percentage than the Reds do. And that's with Brandon Phillips leading the league in RBIs.
2 out. And obviously that you know, is highlighted in so many different areas where, you know, Chu from the left side, Votto from the left side, Bruce from the left side. We know how good all 3 of those guys have been all year long. But when you're facing a guy like Locke here today, who more times than not is going to disarm a lot of left-handed batters in your lineup, although it's interesting that Chu's been on twice, Votto's been on once, Bruce has been on once. But normally when a left-hander is on the mound, that's what happens. So you're leaning hard for your right-handed batters to deliver the goods. And with any consistency of all the right-handed batters in the Reds lineup, Phillips is the only one who has had a good offensive season.
Well, though, if you look at the results of games, it's not like the Reds have done all that poorly against left-handed starters. I mean, right-handers have to step it up, but this year the Reds have won 18 and lost 14 when they face a left-handed starter. But you sometimes have to look within those numbers and find out, all right, where can we improve a little bit? And, of course, the decision for a front office, always tough this time of year, is, well, we thought these guys were good enough coming out of spring training. Do we give them enough time this year? Do they have some upside? Will they turn it around in the second half? Or do we need to get some help?
And as you know, Chris, a lot of times, you know, that left-handed starter thing or right-handed starter thing can be, it really doesn't tell the entire story.
True.
I mean, you use a day like today for an example. There's ball 4 to Gabby Sanchez. If the Reds were to come back and win this game against a Pirate bullpen, they would get a win against a left-handed starter on that stat, when in reality they scored 1 run on 2 walks and a wild pitch and had 1 hit against a left-hander who started the game.
Well, it was easy for me to look up.
Well, no, but I mean, you bring up a legitimate point, because people will look at it and say, okay, more times than not, those are real numbers.
But you make a good point, because sometimes it's a bullpen win or a bullpen loss. You mentioned it a couple of times. It's really McHenry's at bat that changed the whole ball game around there in the 7th inning, last inning, when he went through that long at bat against Homer Bailey before finally getting a double.
One and one account on McHenry. And broke his bat.
Got him right on the end of a cupped bat and kind of split it from the end of the bat down. You don't see that very often. I mean, that's hitting the ball on the cue stick end of a baseball bat. It's about as close to a swing and a miss you get without actually missing the bat.
That's all for McHenry and the Pirates. All right, here we go. Pinch hitter for the pitcher, and then back to the top of the order. Melanson undoubtedly coming on from the Pirate bullpen. The only Reds run of this game. A couple of walks with one out, a sacrifice bunt, and a wild pitch that tied the game at 1 back in the 5th inning. The Reds have managed 1 hit in the game today against Pirate pitching, and that was against Jeff Locke, the very first batter of the game for the Reds. And that was a ball that didn't even leave the infield. A one-hopper that ricocheted off the body of Locke to the right side of the infield. We've seen Watson, we've seen Morris, we've seen Wilson. And now we get a look at National League All-Star Mark Melanson.
Yeah, and it's really the best part, other than Andrew McCutchen, probably the best part of this Pittsburgh Pirates, obviously, is the back end of their bullpen. Mark Melanson, one of the best setup men out there. You see the earned run average of 0.7. Former New York Yankee. Actually, he started out at University of Arizona Wildcat, and then he drafted and signed by the Yankees. Traded in the Lance Berkman deal to the Houston Astros, and that's really where the Reds got his first look at him. And then played a little bit for the Red Sox and traded back over here to the Pittsburgh Pirates last December, day after Christmas. But he is having some kind of a year. Really, the calling card pitch for Melanson is that big overhand curveball. He gets a lot of strikeouts on it. 47 strikeouts in only 45 innings.
Derek Robinson going to bat for J.J. Hoover, who sparkles again here today. Goes an inning and 2/3, allows no hits, no runs, 2 strikeouts, and a walk. And that's in relief of Homer Bailey. So Robinson trying to set the tone for a rally here in the 8th. Shows bunt, takes ball 1 in. Robinson was getting pretty regular playing time while Chris Heisey was out. He and Xavier Paul. Both of them have been bothered by shoulder injuries recently, and not much playing time since Heisey came back. Heisey's been swinging a good bat.
Yeah, that's really,
Robinson.
That's the key right there. Is Heisey's been hot. And of course, when you've got extra players like that, extra outfielders, so to say, you go with what you think is the hot hand. Reds need a base runner here.
2-0 on Robinson. And it's 3-0 on Robinson.
Well, normally when Robinson squares the bunt like that, it's not a fake. It may have been there on a 2-0 count. But he's really looking for a pitch up in the zone. A pitch that's a lot easier for him, he says, to handle and lay down than a pitch down. Gives him a better break out of the box. He's taken all the way here.
And that is a 4-pitch walk to open up the 8th inning. Tying run coming to the plate. We roll back over to the top of the order.
Now, if you believe in energy in baseball, I mean, energy of one team, momentum, people will call it, but it shifts from one side to the other, and nothing does it better and more effectively than a leadoff walk.
Chu with the Reds' only base hit today, extending his hitting streak to 15 in a row. That is the longest current streak in all of Major League Baseball. And right now looking for home run number 14. And he looks at a strike. Of course, the Reds will take him on any way they can get him right now. Down by 2 in the 8th. Alvarez right next to the bag at third base, guarding that line, and there's one hooked into right field. A base hit. Robinson easily goes first to third.
Chu's been hitting the ball mostly up the middle during his hitting streak, just like he did to get that streak continued in the first inning when he lined one off the body of the pitcher Jeff Locke. But that time he hooks it into the open spot on the right side of the infield. The Reds have him on the corners.
Now it'll be Heisey representing the go-ahead run. Tying run at first is Chu, held on over there by Sanchez. There's a huge hole on the right side of that infield, with Mercer cheating back up the middle of the field. Ball 1.
Well, Melanson is a ground ball machine, and I mean really a ground ball machine. Almost 75% ground balls over fly balls. So they're willing to give up the run, the Pirates are, in order to get a double play right here.
One and 0 to Chris Heisey. 2-0. Of course, you can't guide the ball. My, oh my, I mean, that is virtually nothing but one open, gigantic space on the right side of this infield.
Well, if you get the right pitch, though, you can put a swing on it that gives you a good chance of hitting it that way. And in 2-0, you can be very selective right here.
Well, he was taking a hack for the downs there at 2-0. Heck, there's a lot of space on the left side of the infield. I mean, Alvarez is standing about 2 or 3 steps off the third base bag. And both middle infielders pinching towards a second base bag. Bottom line is the Reds have a tying run at first base with nobody out. 2-1 on Heisey. Melanson ready, the pause, and now the pitch. Ball 3. Robinson began the inning drawing a walk. Went first to third on a single through the right side of the infield by Shin-Soo Choo. And it is now 3 balls and a strike to Chris Heisey.
Choo putting on his running gloves.
Heisey rocks forward and back and forth. 3-1. All right, now the question becomes, in middle part of your batting order coming up, are you going to think about running Choo here on a 3-2 pitch with nobody out?
Well, it may not be a bad idea. You stay out of the ground ball double play if that happens. And if it works, the best thing that can happen, you score a run, you go first and third, and you still have nobody out. The medium result is that you get a ground ball that advances 1 runner to second base and then out at first. Melanson is a ground ball guy, and he has not thrown a ball really above the knees yet, except the 1 fastball on a 2-0 count.
Payoff pitch, Choo running, and it's ball 4, and they are loaded with nobody out.
Clint Hurdle got into the habit here in this ball game that so many managers do. It's like you have the back end of the ball game all mapped out ahead of time. If I can get by the 6th inning with this reliever, I'm going to the 7th inning with this guy, and then in the 8th inning, I'm always going to go to my number 8th inning guy. And for the Pittsburgh Pirates, there's been Mark Melanson. But what the Pirates have done is that they've used up both of their left-handers and not gotten very many outs of either of them.
Now, one left-hander faced one batter. He got a walk, and the other left-hander came on to get the final out of strikeout in the 7th inning.
So you've sent 2 of the best left-handed relievers in the league out there, and you faced 2 batters, 1 walk and 1 strikeout. And now you've burned them up. And now you've got the best hitter on the Reds team facing a right-hander who's not throwing very many strikes. So the Reds are in a great shape right here if Joey Votto can capitalize.
Sellout crowd of nearly 41,000 on their feet. Reds are down 2, but they have them loaded with none out here in the 8th inning. And Votto settles in against Melanson. Beat on a fastball, first pitch swinging. Nothing and 1 to Joey Votto. Pull to the right side of the infield. They get 1. Can you believe that? Wow. Reds get 1 run. Votto bounces into a double play with the bases loaded and nobody out. So now the Reds are down 1, and once more they are leaning on Brandon Phillips.
The Pirates turned it the tough way. It goes 3-6-1. Melanson cutting over to first base to be the very end right there. A nice play by the first baseman, Gabby Sanchez. He's in there for defensive reasons, and they put him in at the right time. That's a nice turn by the Pirates. A disappointing at bat for Joey Votto.
Obviously, that is not an RBI on a ground ball double play for Votto, who is still sitting on 44 runs batted in, and the Reds are knocking on the door their 100th game of the season. Now Phillips tying run at third. Foul ball. But now Melanson with a 0-1 count on Brandon Phillips. And this is going to end the inning. That is hard to believe. Bases loaded, nobody out. Your 3 and 4 hitters coming up, you get 1 run. And you're down a run going to the 9th. Game the first series for the Reds. 3 cities spanning 11 days, and the Reds are going to play 12 games. First game in San Francisco, Bronson Arroyo tomorrow night. Tim Lincecum, of course, threw almost 150 pitches in his last start, which was a no-hitter before the All-Star break. He probably needed that break.
Yeah. But he took copious notes when Homer Bailey threw that no-hitter against the Giants. Of course, it was Tim Lincecum who was a losing pitcher in that ball game.
Yep. July the 13th, that was his last start. That was in San Diego when he no-hit the Padres. There were some great defensive plays in that game made. Hunter Pence, among others. 148 pitches in that game for Tim Lincecum. Reds are down a run as the Pirates bat here in the top of the 9th inning. It has been a long time, and I mean a very, very long time, since we have gotten to look at young Curtis Parch. He has not pitched since the 5th of July. And here we are on the 21st of July. July the 5th, I think that's when the Giants were in town. I beg your pardon, that was when Seattle followed the Giants.
That's a long time, there's no doubt. And one thing that's been kind of a bugaboo for Curtis is his ability to throw the ball over the plate. He has as many walks as strikeouts, and that's 9 each in about 12 innings.
The Pirates have Grilly, their closer, getting loose in the bullpen. He only has one blown save the entire year. We mentioned earlier it was right here in this ballpark when he allowed a home run to Jay Bruce to tie the game in the 9th inning. As Parch hits Mercer to open up the top of the 9th. Jay Bruce, by the way, will lead off the bottom of the 9th for the Reds.
Well, the normal guys that you would see late in the ball game right here have pitched in both of the last 2 games. Sam LeCure pitched 2/3 an inning on Friday, then an inning yesterday. Simon has pitched back-to-back games, 2/3 an inning each. Andrusik has been in both of the ball games in this series, although just 1/3 of an inning in each ball game.
Bunted beautifully there by Barnes, and he'll advance a runner with a bunt. Well, the Reds have suffered in this series what the Pirates have suffered from frequently this year, and that is getting very little out of their starters. Mike Leake lasting just 5 2/3 innings in the series opener, and Matt Latos was lifted after 5 innings in the game here yesterday. And now we're going to get a pinch hitter. Brandon Inge will come up and bat for Melanson, who unbelievably allows only 1 run in his only inning of work. He went walk, single, walk to load the bases in front of Joey Votto. Got ahead of Votto when Votto fouled away a first pitch strike and induced Votto to hit into a ground ball double play. A run scored. He retired Brandon Phillips for the final out of the inning. Strike 1 to Inge. Show you the numbers with Votto now with the bases loaded. He is 1 for 6 this season with 3 runs batted in. It's interesting to note that 2 of the 3 RBIs, including yesterday, have come on bases loaded walks. Two and two on Brandon Inge. Parch will look back to the runner at second base, and a swing and a miss is strike 3. Take a look quickly at our Nissan drive of the game. This one driven out of the ballpark back in that second inning off the bat of Garrett Jones. Jones homering in back-to-back games in this series. Pirates have hit 6 solo home runs in this 3-game set. Now Starling Marte takes down low for ball 1. It'll be Bruce, followed by Frazier, and then Cozart. Should we go any further, Mesoraco, and then the pitcher spot. When the Reds bat in the bottom of the 9th inning against Jason Grilly. San Diego's gotten a run closer to the Cardinals. St. Louis batting in the bottom of the 6th inning. It's a 1-run game. 3-2 Redbirds. 1-2 to Marte. Reds pitching today has struck out 15 Pirate batters. 12 of them by Bailey, 2 by Hoover, 1 so far for Curtis Parks. And making another strikeout for the rookie right-hander.
Very impressive inning for Parch, throwing that off-speed pitch. Pirates were not ready for that.
So here we go. Really coming on in a 1-run game. Brought to you by Miller Lite. June the 19th. In the 9th inning, Jay Bruce tied the game off Jason Grilli. That was his first and only blown save in his 2013 season. Grilli on the cover of this week's Sports Illustrated. Been an amazing journey for this reliever to be where he is today. First time as a closer for this 36-year-old. 10 different teams. 3 surgeries. That one thrown all the way to the screen up and in. But after they gave him a chance a couple of years ago, signing him out of Philadelphia's AAA farm system, really had a track record with manager Clint Hurdle going back to their days in Colorado, and they saw enough of him at the end of last year to make Joe Hanrahan available in a trade to the Boston Red Sox and handing the closer's job to Grilli. And an all-star his first year. A ball and a strike to Jay Bruce. Bruce without a hit in this series. He did walk his last time up in the 7th inning.
He's just throwing a fastball right by Jay Bruce, a little bit above the belt right there. He's got a quick arm, a fastball of 94 to 95, and he's not afraid to use it. I'm wondering if that first pitch that got away and went through the screen wasn't more of a purpose pitch than it appeared.
Came back with another fastball up and in, and Bruce able to fight it off. Frazier to follow. And into Zach Kozak. Can the Reds rally here in the bottom of the 9th inning? They got 1 run off Melanson, the National League All-Star. Can they get another or 2 off the All-Star Grilly? That pitch chased up and out of the strike zone.
Actually, a pitch that came nowhere near the spot that Grilly and McHenry wanted it. McHenry called for an inside fastball. You see where it's sitting, and the ball just had a life of its own and took off on Jay Bruce.
Now Todd Frazier has 10 home runs on the year. And he finds a hole. It'll roll there in the right side. That'll be a hit. So the tying run aboard. And the winning run coming to the plate. Take it any way you can get it.
Well, you're not kidding about that. He hit a hard ball early in the ball game right at the second baseman. So it kind of all evens out eventually. Frazier gets a first pitch slider right here, gets it right out on the end of the bat, but he hit it because that ball was elevated. You see where the location was, waist high, and he found a spot on the right side.
Cozart has 7 home runs, 34 runs batted in, 0 for 2 today. Walked and scored the only Reds run back in the 5th inning. Ball 1.
Yeah, the spot that they probably would like to stay away from with Zach Cozart is about middle in. He's very quick, and he's seen the ball better here in the last few days.
Pulled on a breaking ball there, just 81 miles per hour, way out in front, and pops it up. And thankfully for Cozart and the Reds, it finds its way in amongst the fans. Right side of the infield once more, as we talked about in the 8th inning, wide open. Sanchez holding the potential tying run on over at first base. And you know that's where Grilly is going to pitch Cozart. I mean, that's been the MO. Most right-handed pitchers against Cozart all year long is to try and get him to chase. Soft stuff down and away, and it also stays away from the inner part of the plate with anything hard that he can hit in the seats to win the game. They're setting up out there again. And he missed his spot. Fastball ran up and in, and Cozart swung at a pitch. It was out of the zone. 2-2.
Yeah, you can see that ball when he gets it up in the zone. A lot of life on it for Grilly. He's had some time off. He's not pitched since the All-Star break, so that fastball's got some extra life.
Three and 2. We'll do it again.
And if you're thinking about running here, maybe to stay out of a game-ending double play, the problem with it is that Grilly strikes out a lot of batters, more than one batter per inning. So if it backfires on you and Cozart swings through one, and Frazier doesn't get a good jump, I mean a great jump, and you end up losing the ball game, or at least ending the ball game on a strike him out, throw him out double play. A lot of managers want to stay away from that possibility.
3-2 on Cozart, and it's lined softly into left field, caught by Marte. And the Reds are down to their final out. Devin Mesoraco coming up for the first time today.
Mesoraco started the first 2 games of this series, and he hit the ball very well. In fact, it was kind of funny talking to him before the ball game today, saying of all the balls that you hit right on the button in this series, the one that fell in yesterday that was so important was that little blooper down the right field line.
That was an RBI double in the first inning, 4-run first inning here yesterday. And he looks at a first pitch fastball in there, strike.
It's a pitcher's pitch outside. Get a little better idea now of what his arm slot is, how the ball comes out of his hand. And we'll try to come back with the same pitch. Like a copy machine right there.
Reds have been 3 hit so far here today by 6 Pirate pitchers. On Mesoraco. Popped up. Short left field. This might fall in, and the catch is made by Barmes to end the game. Nice play by the Pirates shortstop. Now the Pirates do their thing. A pitching number on the Reds, who had a big chance in the 8th inning and just could not get it done. And the bases loaded with nobody out in the middle of the order coming up. The only run scores on a double play ground out. And the Pirate bullpen slams the door in a 1-run game.
Really difficult to manage around the inability to hit with runners in scoring position. That's what's plagued the Reds in these tight ball games. The pitching was there. The bullpen typically very good. It was good again. And Homer Bailey gave the Reds a pretty good start. 7 innings or 6 1/3 of 3-run baseball. But a sweep was not to be. The Reds pick up 1 on the Pirates by taking 2 out of 3. And they'll head to the West Coast to see what this adventure over the next 11-12 days is going to look like.
It's a huge road trip for the Reds. It'll begin in San Francisco tomorrow night. We'll have every game on the road trip for you right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds Live coming up. Pirates win 3-2 today at Great American Ballpark.